A lot of times on this English channel, the lessons are kind of sad. They are about bad news. But today, it's possible we have some good news. The war between Hamas and Israel could be coming to an end. In this English lesson, we will watch a news clip about a ceasefire between Hamas and Israel. And of course, we will talk about what a ceasefire is. We'll talk about what on the brink means. Lots of English phrasal verbs today. Laid out, a very advanced term here, come to fruition. We'll talk about what hostages are. How about this word, halt? Do you know what that means? Well, if you don't, by the end of the English lesson, you will. Do you know what a log jam is? Have you ever heard this English phrasal verb, tamped down? We have a couple idioms, back on his feet and on its back foot. Stick with me until the end and you will know what all of those terms mean, plus more. Before we get too far, please hit that like button. That way other English learners will be able to find the lesson. And go ahead and subscribe so you never miss another English lesson. Let's take a look at that news clip and then I will come back and teach you some English.
We're on the brink of a proposal that I laid out in detail months ago, finally coming to fruition. The deal we have structured would free the hostages, halt the fighting, provide security to Israel, and allow us to significantly surge humanitarian assistance to the Palestinians who've suffered terribly in this war that Hamas started.
Biden's comments come after a reportedly tense meeting between Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Trump's Middle East envoy Steve Witkoff. Dr. Rebecca Grant is a national security and military analyst and an international relations expert, and she joins me now. Dr. Grant, good morning to you. So this deal is reportedly imminent, and if Hamas agrees, phase one would be the release of 33 hostages, and U.S. officials are hoping that 2 Americans are included in that group.
It is important to know what a ceasefire is before we get too far. For each term, I will have a picture, I will have the official definition, and I will use that term in a sentence. Ceasefire means an agreement to stop fighting for a period of time. Hamas and Israel agreed to a ceasefire to stop the violence temporarily. Do you know temporarily? It means for a short period of time. Permanent means forever. Hopefully, permanent peace can come to the region.
We're on the brink of a proposal that I laid out in detail months ago, finally coming to fruition.
The next one we have is on the brink. President Biden says on the brink. It means very close to something happening, and it's usually bad. The region is on the brink of war, but leaders are trying to come together to talk.
We're on the brink of a proposal that I laid out in detail months ago.
Next, we have laid out. That means explained or arranged clearly. Take a look at that teacher at the blackboard. I know it's green, but we usually call that a blackboard. The teacher laid out the homework instructions on the board.
Finally coming to fruition. The deal we have structured would free the hostages, halt the fighting, provide security to Israel, and allow us to significantly surge humanitarian assistance to the Palestinians who've suffered terribly in this war that Hamas started.
I love this term. I try to use it as often as I can. I think when I use it, I sound smart. Come to fruition means something planned that is now happening and becoming real. I know your goal is to become an English speaker, and I hope that goal comes to fruition for you. Here is another example sentence. The peace talks are finally coming to fruition after months of work. So much good news in this English lesson, but this term isn't that great. Hostages are people taken and held by force to demand something in return. The robbers held the customers hostage during the bank robbery.
Finally coming to fruition. The deal we have structured would free the hostages, halt the fighting, provide security to Israel.
Halt is just another way to say stop. Let's get the official definition. To stop something completely. The bus came to a sudden halt at the red light. Yeah, I know in the picture that light is green, but if the light suddenly turned red, that bus would have to come to a halt.
Biden's comments come after a reportedly tense meeting between Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Trump's Middle East envoy Steve Witkoff. Dr. Rebecca Grant is a national security and military analyst and an international relations expert, and she joins me now. Dr. Grant, good morning to you. So this deal is reportedly imminent.
Do you know the word tense in English? We have a couple different ways we use it. Like you can talk in the past tense when something has already happened. This is a little different. It means feeling nervous or worried. She felt tense before giving her speech in class. Imminent. Imminent is how you pronounce that word, and it means about to happen very soon. Dark clouds showed that rain was imminent.
So this deal is reportedly imminent. And if Hamas agrees, phase one would be the release of 33 hostages. And U.S. officials are hoping that 2 Americans are included in that group. And then it would be the release of Israeli soldiers and an IDF withdrawal from Gaza. And phase 3 is the recovery of bodies and remaining hostages. If this does happen, does that mean an official end to this war?
Yes, and this deal is close, Carly, because of the pressure that President-elect Trump has put on Hamas. He really deserves a great deal of credit for breaking the logjam.
A great deal of just means a lot of something. She has a great deal of experience in teaching. Guess what? In that picture, there are a great deal of fish. I hope you are learning a great deal of new terms and words in this English lesson. Next, we have a logjam. A logjam is a situation where progress is blocked. When you hear progress, think people are trying to get something done. People are trying to accomplish something. Traffic caused a logjam on the highway this morning. You know, like a traffic jam. This is where the word comes from. Look at that. There is a river and a lot of logs in the river. Water is not able to flow as quickly because there are so many logs in the water.
Yes, and this deal is close, Carly, because of the pressure that President-elect Trump has put on Hamas. He really deserves a great deal of credit for breaking the logjam. The detail that you've laid out tells us that, as National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan said, the deal is there for the taking. Of course, the question is, will Hamas say yes? And then will Israel's positions in Gaza be enough to keep conflict tamped down?
I am hoping this is a new phrasal verb for you. Tamped down. Tamped down means to reduce or control something. The government tamped down protests to maintain peace. In the picture, that woman is literally tamping down the soil or dirt in that pot. Maybe you have a headache. You can take some medicine to try to tamp down your headache.
Of course, the question is, will Hamas say yes? And then will Israel's positions in Gaza be enough to keep conflict tamped down? And will the greater region, maybe with Egypt's help, be able to figure out a way to govern Gaza and get Gaza back on its feet?
So with Hamas clearly on its back foot and Hezbollah not using pagers anytime soon, how would you describe the status of Iran right now, just days until Donald Trump enters office once again?
Next, we have an English idiom, back on his feet. It means recovered and working again. After the flu, he was finally back on his feet. Maybe a couple days ago, that man had to lay on the couch. He was so sick he couldn't get up. Well, now it looks like he is getting back on his feet. It looks like he is feeling better. What if somebody loses their job? John lost his job last month, but he is already getting back on his feet. Maybe he already has another job. Things are going better for him. Please don't get it confused with on its back foot. That is totally different. It means in a defensive or weak position. The sudden attack left the soldier on his back foot. This can sometimes happen in sports when a team is losing. The team gave up 2 goals. They are really on their back foot now.
Be able to figure out a way to govern Gaza and get Gaza back on its feet.
So with Hamas clearly on its back foot and Hezbollah not using pagers anytime soon, how would you describe the status of Iran right now, just days until Donald Trump enters office once again?
Iran is weaker than ever, desperate, and of course pinned down.
Aw, in this next one, we have a cute little kitten under a blanket, but pinned down is not good. Let's talk about it. It means trapped or unable to move. The kitten was pinned down under the heavy blanket and couldn't move.
Iran is weaker than ever, desperate, and of course pinned down by over 30,000 U.S. forces deployed out to Central Command. We can't forget the Marines off the coast of Lebanon, all the way through to the aircraft carriers, destroyers, and Air Force fighters that are ringing Iran and keeping the lid on.
Ringing. Now, ringing is a verb. You might know it as a noun. I am wearing a wedding ring. That is a noun. But the verb means to form a circle around something or someone. Take a look at that picture. It looks like somebody is having a birthday. The children were ringing the birthday cake, ready to sing. It just means everyone was standing around the birthday cake, keeping the lid on. That means to control or hide something. She's trying to keep the lid on her best friend's surprise birthday party. It's like you have a secret and you shouldn't tell anybody.
We can't forget the Marines off the coast of Lebanon, all the way through to the aircraft carriers, destroyers, and Air Force fighters that are ringing Iran and keeping the lid on. Israel's actions have shown that Iran's air defenses have been taken down and shown that Iran can't mount a response by launching missiles against Israel. It's been very ineffective.
Mounting a response or mount a response means to organize or start an action. The firefighters mounted a response hoping to stop the wildfires. Maybe you saw that English lesson I did about the California wildfires. Such a horrible situation. I will leave a link to that English lesson at the end of this one. In the picture, it looks like soldiers are mounting a response. Maybe they were attacked earlier. They are trying to attack back.
Israel's actions have shown that Iran's air defenses have been taken down and shown that Iran can't mount a response by launching missiles against Israel. It's been very ineffective. So I expect we're going to see Iran eager to try to squirm out of this and negotiate. They're tapping some of their sneaky oil reserves that they've stuffed into China. But Iran is still dangerous. And in the end, this is going to be one of Trump's biggest priorities is what to do about Iran and, of course, how to end that terrible conflict down in the Red Sea where the Houthis continue to take shots at international.
Squirm out. Maybe this is another English phrasal verb for you. It means to escape or avoid something, often dishonestly. Like you're not being honest about it if you try to squirm out of something. Take a look at this boy. He is squirming out of his chores. He is pretending to be sick and he's making his sisters do all the work. Let's take a look at the sentence. He squirmed out of doing his chores by pretending to be sick. I really do hope that peace can come to this region, but at the end, they talk about the Houthis. That is a group involved in conflicts in Yemen and other parts of the region. The Houthis have been active in Yemen for years. They are another group that is similar to Hamas or Hezbollah. I will make that map a little bigger just in case you don't know what Yemen is in English. It's a country very close to Saudi Arabia, Oman, not far from Somalia, Djibouti, and Eritrea. Poor Yemen, they have had a civil war for quite a while. I don't know if anybody is watching this English lesson from Yemen, but if you are, I hope you are safe. That is going to do it for this English lesson. Congratulations on making it to the end. If you are looking for more English, there is an English lesson I did about the California wildfires. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time.